One of my favorite scenes in a movie is in the movie Walk the Line. It's a story about Johnny Cash and kind of his career. So at the very beginning of his career, he has an interview with Sam Phillips, who owns Sun Records. And so what he does, apparently in the scene, is he gets him to listen to his songs. He brings his bandmates down, and they start singing him this kind of old traditional gospel song. And then Sam stops him and is like, "Do you guys have something else?" And they're like, "No, we don't really have anything else." And Sam's like, "Well, I can't sell gospel music like this. It doesn't sell." And so then Johnny goes, "Well, is it the gospel or is it the way that I sing it?" And Sam Phillips goes, "Both." And Johnny's like, "What's wrong with the way that I sing it?" And he says, "I don't believe you." And then Johnny gets like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I come down here to play this music and then all of a sudden this guy tells me I don't believe in God." And Sam Phillips is like, "You know exactly what I mean. You come down here and you sang this song. We've heard this song 1,000 times, just like it, just like you sang it." And Johnny's like, "Well, then you didn't let us bring it home." And then bring it home. And then Sam goes into this speech and he goes, let's take this, bring it home. You are lying out in that street and you got hit by a truck and you're lying in the gutter and you have a chance to sing one song that's going to sum you up, one song that's going to tell the world and God what you thought about living on this planet. And you're telling me that's the song you're going to sing, that same old song that we've heard over and over and over again? Or are you going to sing something else? Are you going to sing something different? Because that, Mr. Cash, is the song that people want to hear. That, Mr. Cash, is the song that truly saves people. And then Johnny's confronted with this reality and he goes, "Well, I have some songs I wrote in the Air Force." And he begins to sing Folsom Prison Blues, right? And then Sam hears the song and is like, "That's amazing," right? And I would say what's amazing about this scene is what happens is that a true song comes out of Johnny, right? He's singing a false song, a song that he thinks he needs to sing. And then in this moment where he's confronted, a true song emerges, something very honest, the truest song he can sing. And this is the great thing about art, right? We've all kind of seen this true song, whether it be in a film or a visual piece of art or in poetry or writing. It's that moment that the art transcends, it's just materials. It's that moment when the art is actually able to reveal truth to us, truth about our lives, truth about reality, the truth in that situation. And this is why we love it. It's because it allows us to hear the truth about ourselves. I would like to submit that our most truest song actually is revealed by Jesus Christ. When Jesus is on the cross, it's recorded that he says 7 different things, right? 7 things he says while he's on the cross. One of them's like, "Mother, here's your son. Son, here's your mother." And all of these things, except for one, come from himself, meaning he's not quoting anybody. But there is one thing that he says that's a quote. And it's in that moment that we theologically believe that Jesus, God as man, is experiencing the full weight of sin on humanity. In that moment, as he's experiencing that, he says, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And he's not saying that from himself. He's quoting King David in Psalm 22. My God, why have you forsaken me?" And a psalm is a song. So Jesus, who's Emmanuel, God with us, in that moment where he's going, "I am with you. I'm with you so much that I actually know what it feels like to be a human being." And in the greatest moment of suffering, and when it feels like to be under the curse, he doesn't speak from himself. He sings our song. He says, what your song is, what it feels like to be a human being, is that it feels like I've forsaken you. And in that moment, he's going, "I am with you. In your most forsaken moment, I'm here answering your cry." So what do we do with this as the church? You know, Jesus knows our song and is singing our song. Well, I think it leads us to 2 things. The first one is is that when we understand that the song of humanity is, God, why have you forsaken us? All of a sudden it opens up all these other kind of art forms that exist in our culture, that exist throughout history. We can see the undercurrent of this narrative, of this story, of this cry going on and going, oh wow, we're in the same place. And then all of a sudden it opens up all of these possibilities that maybe we can use these art forms to help speak to our own story. The story that we know so well, but they also do as well, and it can teach us and inform us and transform us. All of a sudden, like the culture of the world becomes at our fingertips as resonating with the same story, the same song that we know about. So there's that movement. And then secondly, I think as the church, we're uniquely postured to share that story in the life of Jesus. In Jesus going, my name is Emmanuel, God with us. We can speak to that story going, here is the answer to our cry. And so one of a great meditative art piece for this is the Stations of the Cross. Now, Stations of the Cross, kind of these movements of Jesus going from being condemned to dying. And in that, what's happening is Jesus is going, I'm partaking in some of the worst things about being a human being. I'm partaking in an unjust system, living under an empire, broken family relationships and meetings, pain, suffering, wrongness, and then even death, fear, terror, all of these things, right? And so Jesus is aligning himself with the human experience and going, I am with you even in your worst sufferings. And Stations of the Cross is a meditation on that. And I've done a few art projects based on that. And one year I did this thing called The Crucifixion According to Radiohead. Now, Radiohead is a great band out of England, really awesome. And a lot of people would be like, they're not really spiritual at all. And that's debatable. But no, they're not. They're not speaking to anything about this story. But when I was in Jerusalem after my friend had died and we were there on a pilgrimage and I walked the Via Dolorosa every day, the music that was most resonant was Radiohead at that time. And this playlist started to form and these images and these videos started to come together. And I wanted to do this experience. So on Good Friday, we did this multimedia experience about what it felt like, what it feels like to be in the process of going through the Stations of the Cross, going on the journey that Christ was doing towards death. Because I think we default a lot on words and we have to explain everything. But I wanted an experience that goes, this is what it looks like, this is what it sonically feels like when a murder is happening. And it was with all of these images from culture, music from culture, and these things allow us to enter into the story of Scripture even deeper. And so Stations of the Cross is a great way that we can meditate and experience Jesus going, I know your song, and I'm singing it.